Okay, we're on 3 months of the ProClear90. Everything is going well, but we have recently changed things around. As you can tell, our tank looks a lot different. We have removed the polyp rock with the yellow and green polyps, and we have taken the Atlantic tang out and we've taken them back to the fish store. The Atlantic tang was beating up the clown, and the fox face was not happy. She wasn't coloring up, but at the day we took the Atlantic tang out, the fox face went bright yellow. So I don't know if it was territorial or if it was beating up on the fox face also, but either way, the fox face is happier. So we have added this arch over here. As you can see, it's bright and it hasn't been in the tank long enough to get the algae, but the fish are hanging out over here. They're enjoying it. They like it. It is going to become our torch arch, where they get lots of light and lots of flow, and it makes their tentacles nice and long, so they're happy. And down here, this flatter rock in the middle in the front is going to ideally be our frog spawn hammer rock. The hammer on the right was just moved, so it's not happy yet, but it wasn't getting flow where it was before, so we had to move it forward just a little bit. And then we have the Zoa rock in the back, where you can see the armor of the gods nice and tall. And then in the back on the left is where we're going to have our stony corals. But that's the hope for our tank. Everything's looking good. It's just now it's waiting for finances to come back so we can afford it all.
So these two, that's a Montipora coral on the right, and on the left's a type of Millipora. I think it's called a solar flare. And they're medium growing, supposed to be pretty easy corals. And then in the middle, we have the red digitata, pretty common, real hardy, easy coral. And then over here, there's a real pretty orange with the green-tipped bird's nest, orange and green-tipped bird's nest. And all the corals we have, I mean, we didn't really plan it. Oops, we didn't really plan it this way, but they're all pretty fast growing as far as stony corals go. At least that's what we're told. I mean, they've only been here for a few weeks, but yeah.
We also got this stellar stylophora, also called cat paw. Chris has me telling you about it because he cannot say stellar stylophora. It's very pretty. It looks like almost like a reddish purple base with little tiny green polyps that grow on it. I wish this camera can give you the real color to it, but it is a gorgeous coral, stony coral, and it's one of my favorites right now in the tank.
So we wanted to focus on the cleanup crew. And so this is the conch, who I've introduced before. We call him Daryl. And he just uses that big old vacuum cleaner to pick around the bottom of the tank. He eats food, leftover food, pieces of meat. I really don't know what else. Doesn't really scrape the rocks clean, as you can see. They're still pretty green. I gotta figure something out for that. But he's done a pretty good job just cleaning up the substrate and keeping it nice and fresh. Here's the serpent star. He's not out very much. Pretty much when it's feeding time. And sometimes I like to see him at night. But I just fed the tank some mysis shrimp, frozen mysis shrimp. And so he's coming out to snatch what he can. But he just hangs out in the nooks and crannies. And is a good part of the cleanup crew. Gets uneaten food and other sorts of detritus. Oh, look, he got something. And he goes shoving in his big old pie hole. Pretty cool. Serpent star. And this is our tuxedo urchin. He's really cool. As you can see, he uses his little tentacles. You can kind of see him floating around there to hold on pieces of shell and rock and stuff. And he changes around his decorations. He actually, that white pipe organ right there in the middle, He actually snagged that and was carrying that around for a day until I stole it off of him and glued it back to the rock. So he's pretty cool, and he's just a straight algae eater. He gets everything down to the bare rock. He's really good at it too. And he sleeps a lot during the day. I think he motors around mostly at night. This is one of the few times he's out moving around during the day. But good part of the cleanup crew. So that bright blue fish is a blue springary damsel, and we have two of them. They've been in there for, well, one's been in there for about a month, the other one's been in there for about 3 or 4 days. And we got them mostly because I did the big cardinal sin and we were in a rush. We bought some frags of coral about 2 months ago, and we just dumped them in the tank. Didn't dip them or anything. We were in a rush, we were heading out of town, and, well, we got flatworms. And so they're not the acropora eating flatworms, they're called ghost flatworms. And they eat the algae like in the back of the tank here. They're actually not bad, they're just unsightly, and I got other things to eat the algae. And so we bought these little guys, and so they go around and they'll eat prepared foods, flakes and stuff, but they munch on the flatworms in between, pick them off the rocks and off the glass. So they're part of the cleanup crew too. And then of course Phyllis, or foxface, she's a ravaging algae eater. All she wants to do is eat. And she picks on the back of the tank. That's why I don't really clean it or scrape it. I just let her pick on the back there. I also have seaweed over there on the other side of the tank to a little clip in case she wants some of that. And then she'll eat some prepared foods, some meats and stuff. In the wild, when they eat the, algae or whatever, when they eat plants in the wild, there's like little critters on there, so that's how they get their proteins. But in the tanks, I know I got some flatworms, but other than that, there's not a lot of critters when they eat the algae. So you got to feed them protein, even though they're straight vegetarians too. So yeah. So blue and red hermit crabs are really good algae eaters, and they eat everything else too. Some people complain that they eat their corals. I really haven't had any problems with that. They just they scurry around, they get in the crevices, eat uneaten food. But yeah, like if I ever get hair algae, which I don't have because these guys are just really good at it, they go and they snip it off and eat it, and then the snails will come and clean up the little nubs that are left over. And then that is a Nacerius snail. They only come out when it's nighttime or if I feed, like I just did, if I feed the tank. Most of the time they spend under the ground, and they have that little snorkel thing that's just popping up, or that pops up when they're underground, like a little periscope. And I guess they just hang out there until they sniff some food, and then as soon as they do, they rise out of the ground like zombies. But they're really good at keeping the substrate loose and clean.
So overall, we're learning a lot as we go. Enough that we need to change things and add things and move things around, but we're really, really liking the way this tank is forming, and we're having a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoy it.